makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with Tanya Fasnacht Jolliffe. She is a registered and licensed dietitian, nutritionist, certified integrative mental health professional, and founder of LIT Wellness Solutions, committed to helping people live healthy lives. Good morning, Tanya. Wow, my goodness, you have been doing a lot of work. I don't know where you find the time because I was thinking, asking you, can I borrow some of your time? You are a registered dietitian and helping people live a healthy, fulfilling lives, I will say. And I know with your company, I'm not sure if I'm saying the first word correctly. If you say it LIT or LIT Wellness Solutions, you are bringing positive impact on people, especially women. You know, we have that busy lifestyle, and we can always use the help to stay focused. So, what led you to take up that line of study and then making that your career?
Well, it's kind of funny how life, you start to live your life and you end up in a place that you never really intended. Just life experience brings you there. It is LIT Wellness Solutions, and it stands for live in truth is really what it stands for. For women to live in truth, for people to live in truth. And we have all been fed a whole lot of lies, mostly the lies of diet culture. And so that my experiences kind of through my life have kind of led me here. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and then I went on to play volleyball in college with a full ride college scholarship and developed disordered eating practices to meet a weight that I was given by the coach, and struggled for 5 years, even as a professional dietitian, knowing what to do, but being very caught up in diet culture and what diet expected for body size, body shape, and all of those things. As I worked as a dietitian, I worked in end-stage organ disease with people who had kidney failure, liver failure, and medical nutrition therapy is very, very important to those people. They have some of the most restrictive diets that there are. And there is a place for nutrition therapy and for medical nutrition therapy. But medical nutrition therapy is very different than a diet. And somewhere over the last 3 decades, those lines have become blurred. And diets have become everything everybody's on. And they've stopped worrying about managing their medical condition, and they're on a diet for their medical condition. And so it's just really gotten to be really blurred. And so as I went along, and then I was a health coach for a number of years, and then I worked with corporate wellness in the trucking industry with truck drivers. And it's the same thing. It's diet, 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 diet. And it's like, no, you don't need a diet. You need to manage your medical condition. And those are really 2 separate things, because diets are things we go on and we go off. We try this diet for a while. We try that diet for a while. And we're not really looking at lifestyle well-being, how all of the areas and dimensions of our life interact and impact the behaviors that we're doing. And so kind of all of those things wrapped into one. I helped a company to build and grow and develop a very top-notch transportation wellness program. They were acquired, and after company acquisitions go, after a year, after the acquisition, I was let go, and I was facing, what do I do now? And so I was led to write a journaling program, the Mindful Me Journey, which looks at what do we do with food and why do we do it, thoughts, feelings, habits, and behaviors, and how they're all interacted. And then I created my company and really started to focus on helping women, especially, break down the diet culture mentality. You know, a businesswoman cannot run a successful business. A speaker cannot be effective on stage if she is not healthy and well and confident in who she is. And so a lot of the stuff that they need to unpack I needed to unpack myself, and I did in my own journey to break away from diet culture and come to a place of wellness and wholeness and health. And so that's what I want to bring to other people, especially women.
Wow. I actually never looked at it that way. I just never really looked at it. And you are right. Do you know how many people are like, yeah, I know I need to go on a diet. Yes, I know I need to get in diet. We need to look at the problem that's make us think we need the diet in the first place and fix that problem instead of going in diet that we never really need. Wow. What can I say? We always need another woman to fix the problem for us.
Well, it's so much of our culture, and you have to look at it. It's a diet culture, and it's the culture that we have been brought up in. And I will tell you that the life, and as I started as a dietitian 35, 40 years ago, it was very different than what it is now. One of my prime examples that I like to use is the keto diet. The keto diet was in a diet manual because it helped people with seizure disorder and epilepsy.
Ooh.
That's its medical nutrition therapy purpose. But someone grabbed on and that they could lose weight with it. And you can lose weight with it. But at the same time, what are you doing to your brain chemistry? The same time that you're losing that weight? Because this diet was created as a medical nutrition therapy for someone with seizure disorder or epilepsy.
Oh my goodness.
Just because somebody tells you this is a diet and this is a weight loss plan, and because they put on soup or cereal that it's keto friendly, that's a marketing diet culture world. That is not a health, well-being, and wholeness world. And so that's where people have to be a little bit more willing to stop putting weight and body size ahead of health and well-being. And we have become a culture that is focused on not being okay with our body shape, not being okay with our body size, not understanding that the relationship well-being, financial well-being, vocational well-being, if those things are out of whack, that's probably why we've gone to the bag of chips. That's probably why we're not putting all of those pieces together. And so that's what I just looked at all these pieces, and it's like I have talked with so many people who are trying to manage diabetes or trying to manage high blood pressure, and especially those two. And they say, just give me a diet, just give me a diet. Okay, well, the diet's not going to address, I can give you a meal plan. I can do medical nutrition therapy, but if you're not addressing the stress in your life, your blood sugar and your blood pressure are still going to be high because it's the stress that's impacting. And you have to look at that the stress is coming from your job, or the stress is coming from your family, or the stress is coming from your financial situation. And those things have to be addressed at the same time that you're trying to change your eating pattern or you're trying to increase your activity. So when we only look at one dimension of ourselves, our physical well-being, but we don't look at the impact of the rest of our life, we're not going to change the behaviors because it's the rest of our life that's impacting those behaviors. Yes. So it's a much bigger problem, and it's a much bigger solution than just a diet or just a fitness plan. So that's the approach I'm coming from.
No, but I love your approach because it makes a lot of sense. How many times that even as a business owner, something happened with a client or an employee or anything like that, and you're just like, oh my goodness, what a day. And you just go in the fridge and whatever, the first thing you find in the cabinet, you just grab it, you just stop eating on it, and then or the piece of cake that was sitting there, you just grab it, you eat it. It's just become normal, and that's how you're putting your weight on. And from experience, it's like, where have you been all my life? Geez, somebody should have explained this to me years ago. That would have saved me a lot of work.
Well, it's really true because pretty much what what are you doing and why are you doing it? Those are the two common questions that we have to ask ourselves. In business, what's working and what's not? And if it's not working, why is it not working? Those are the same key questions we have to ask. When you have a problem, let's just back it up. If you have a problem with gambling, you cannot go to a casino, right? If you have a problem
Mm-hmm.
with drinking, you can limit your alcohol and you can limit those places that you go that would tempt you. When food is used as a medication, when food is used as a coping skill, is it's a behavior, you still have to eat. You still have to nourish your body. And so it's not something you can walk away from. So actually, food and understanding what you do with food and why you do it is really a key to understanding most of the dimensions of your life and understanding what are you doing, what's working well, and what's not working well within your lifestyle well-being. And food is that one avenue and activity that we can begin to open the door and unlock and find out, okay, well, this is what I'm doing with food and why. And the why then leads to the next why and the next why and the next why. And suddenly we've unraveled all of these different areas in the dimensions of our life. And we recognize, oh my gosh, food's not the problem. Exercise isn't the problem. It's the diet culture that tells me that the larger size body that I'm in isn't okay. We want to be the healthiest in whatever body size we are, whatever body shape we are. We don't get to change that. Our genetics are our genetics. We don't get to
Yes.
change the body size and shape that we were born with. We just get to choose whether it's a healthy version or an unhealthy version.
So, as a dietitian, what is for you? What do you think is diet? What is diet for you, pretty much? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Well, diet for diet culture's sake has begun a certain number of calories and a certain. So if I expend this number, it's like we've been taught that our bodies are a bank and that we eat a certain amount and we have to exercise a certain amount and we have to create this deficit to be able to lose weight, because that's really what the focus is on losing weight. As a non-diet dietitian, I don't focus on that. I focus on the nutrients that you're eating. I focus on the nutrition that you're giving your body and the nourishment and the fuel that you're giving your body and the times of day that you're giving it to your body
Hmm.
and in the distributions. Each body type has a different. Some body types need more carbohydrates. Some body types need less carbohydrates. Some body types need more protein. Some body types need less protein. So we try to look at those. Okay, which types of foods should you build your meal around? Should you build your meal around your carbohydrate as your first pick, or should you build your meal around your protein that's your first pick, and then build your plate around that? I don't get into portion sizes. I do get into portion sizes, but as servings, not as let's get out a scale or measuring cups and count the number of grapes. Because in my disordered eating, I would only eat 15 grapes. And if I ate 16, there was guilt and shame attached because I had not followed the plan. And that's where the problem with diets comes in. It brings on guilt. It brings on shame. It brings on feeling unworthy, feeling not enough. And when we're bringing those as women and as business leaders into our business space, that we don't feel good in our clothing, we don't feel confident in our clothing, we don't feel confident standing on a stage because we think there's something wrong with our shape or our size. It's all of that stuff, that emotional and mental well-being that gets all wrapped in one. And so let's focus on nutritious eating. Let's focus on activity for health. Let's not worry about portion sizes and numbers of servings and weighing and measuring and all of that stuff.
Exactly. And also I think that also eventually create a mental issue with us as well. And we start not believing ourselves, like you said, and also that we tend to quit what we are doing very easily because we
Yep.
have low self-esteem, and we try to stay behind the scene with everything we do so that we don't because we reach out to people with women. We reach out to women where they said like, well, I would love to do this, but I don't want to be in camera. Or
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you're a beautiful woman. I'm looking at your picture. Why would anyone be in camera? I try not to get into it, but I'm sure there's something behind it that's like, people just feel like if I go there, people are gonna judge me, even that what I have to say is important.
Any of those women who feel that way, I hope they would come and look me up and work with me, because I can help them understand why they feel that way and where that negative self-image comes from. A lot of times it goes back to things that were said to us. It goes back to our childhood and maybe the clean plate club that we were, many of us, a part of growing up. And if you don't have the self-confidence to sell your product and your service, then you need to understand why. You need to uncover that. And we need to move beyond that so that we can be all we were meant to be to transform the world around us. That's why we have the product or service that we have, to be able to transform the world. And one of the things that I've really discovered is that, you know, when weight and the number on the scale is the only thing you're looking and measuring yourself by, you're going to set yourself up for failure every single time, because you are not meant to be the same size at 25 that you were at 15. And you most certainly aren't supposed to be the same size and shape at 35 after you've had several children, or even at 35 not having several children, but having a job where you are more sedentary. We are not supposed to look like 15-year-old children when we are 35. That's not normal. That's not healthy. And the world keeps wanting us to turn back the clock, turn back the clock, turn back the clock, instead of embracing aging and aging well and aging healthfully and whole and confidently. And so we've been fed this diet culture lie, and we're looking at a scale and we see that every decade that scale goes up. And so we feel less and less worthy, less and less whole, less and less valuable. And those are all lies of diet culture. Let's create a culture of wellness where we're looking at a whole lot of other things that we're measuring our life and our success by in all different areas, and not the number on the scale. Because the honest truth is, when I was at my thinnest as an adult, I was the most unhealthy and unhappy that I have ever been in my life. And when I found the freedom to embrace myself for who I was created to be, I have been happy, whole, and free, and able to then help other people do the same thing.
So do you think that diet got something to do with age? It's just like, I met people, like, for example, let me give you an example. I met people where they are in the 30s and they look like they are in the 50s.
Sure. Part of it is, well, one, and I don't want to slam eating patterns, but there are some eating patterns that have been marketed as healthy, but that's a lie. Keto being one of them. When you really undernourish your body, your skin ages way faster than it does when it's well nourished. When you underhydrate yourself, and women, if you're looking at a scale, and again, I'll just use myself, I had to weigh in college every week. That was part of the deal. You had to go and weigh in every week. I would dehydrate myself to make the number on the scale as low as possible. So when you are living by a scale and you are living by a number on a scale, you start to do behaviors and practices, because being well hydrated can add 5 pounds to the scale. A well-hydrated body. Your body is 60% water. So you see that there's a variable there. So if I need to feel successful and I need to feel like I'm winning this numbers game on the scale, I will start to do practices that I know will help me keep that number low. And dehydration is one of them. So underhydrated skin looks older. Underhydrated organs function less effectively, and they tend to then not metabolize properly. And again, that ages us as well. So there's a lot of things that can play into it, because we haven't adequately nourished our body and focused on nourishment and not a number on a scale. I personally would rather be 10 pounds heavier and well nourished and happy and healthy and whole than 10 pounds less, hating my life, hating myself, not being able to have the energy to do what I want to do, having skin that looks old. It's like this big snowball effect, right? One thing that affects the next thing, the next thing. Yeah.
If I'm going to age, I want to age with my real age, not age with the age that's not even mine yet, you know?
Right.
I certainly don't want that. And I think what you said make a lot of sense. That's the reason why I asked you that questions, because I seen that, and I seen people like that where I'm like, when they told me I'm 35, I'm like, really? Okay, I don't know what you're doing, but you don't look 35 in a good way.
I'll be 57 next week.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, you don't look 57, so.
Well, thank you.
Truly, you don't.
But I also think that being able to say your age and not being ashamed of how old you are is another part of it too. Like, let's embrace how old we are. Let's live well. Let's not try to take 10 years off of our life because somehow we think that being our 50s is horrible, or 60s or 70s. Let's be the best 60 or 70 or 80-year-old we can be, and be successful in the business and with the skills and that we have. And
exactly. And I seen some great women out. Yes, it is. And I seen some great women out there. Let's look at the Queen of England for that age. And then she's rocking it when she can rock it. She rock it out there. It's like, oh my goodness, she's going to keep rocking it to 100. So I think the age is, it's not what's matter. My grandpa used to always say that to me. Your age really doesn't matter. What's matter is what you are put to do in this world, and are you actually doing it? And are you taking care of yourself? Are you loving the people around you? And are you staying positive instead of being negative all the time? So I think that's what's more important. And food, I think having a good relationship with food is important. And I love food. I will not lie. I love food. And when someone tell me you need to go and diet, you can't eat this, you can eat that, I'm looking at you like you're talking to the wrong woman.
Well, that's again that diet mentality about good food and bad food. There's food that's more nutritious for us, and there's food that's less nutritious. But the example I like to give is, let's look at an apple, a whole apple. A whole apple has lots of fiber and lots of pectin, and it's got lots of nutrients, got lots of water. It's nutritious and hydrating all the way around. But some people don't like the skin, or maybe their teeth don't allow them to bite an apple. And so they might go with unsweetened applesauce. So unsweetened applesauce doesn't have as much fiber. It still has some pectin, but it's still got most of the same nutrients, not quite as much water as the whole fruit, but it's still pretty nutritious, but not as nutritious as the whole apple. And then you go with sweetened applesauce. And sweetened applesauce has a little bit of extra sugar that our body really doesn't need. It's got a little bit less water that our body can use because of the sugar and the solute load that is created in that, but it's still got the same vitamins and minerals. And so when you start to look at it that way, you start to have a conversation about hydration and nutrition and available nutrients and how the body will use those. And there's no osmolality or solute load issue with a whole apple. But as you start to change the makeup of that applesauce, you start to change how the body can use what is you're giving it. So that's where you want to try to take the conversation and try to look at what's going to nourish my body to give me the nutrients that it needs in the form that the body can use it. And that's where you start to look at it that way. And diet is really just focused on good, bad, number of calories, number of grams of this and that. And those are important for nutrition therapy when you're dealing with a medical condition. But for the average healthy person who's trying to have a healthy body at a good weight, and again, what numbers are you looking at? If you're only looking at the number on the scale and you're not looking at any of the numbers in your biometrics, are you looking at your blood pressure? Is it improving? Are you looking at your glucose and your A1C? Are they improving? Those are the numbers that are more important than the number on the scale.
Wow. So with LIT Wellness Solutions, just saying the name sounds fascinating, actually. So I'm very curious. How did you come up with it?
Well, actually, I was working with a ministry called Living in Truth Ministries, and they deal with women who have body image issues. And that's kind of how I got connected as a dietitian, coming in and kind of looking at the non-diet approach to dealing with disordered eating. And I went, I like that Live in Truth, but it's already been taken. I can't use it. So I ended up with LIT for Live in Truth, and then added the flame because I like to help people ignite the change within. And so it just kind of fit. And so it works because we still want to live in truth. And we want to ignite that change. And that change has to come from within us. It has to be internal. It can't be external.
External. Well
Right.
said there. So what are the services that the company offers?
A lot of, we do consulting. I do right now some consulting with a transportation wellness company, doing some corporate wellness, but I also do coaching one-on-one with people who are looking to totally walk away from diet culture, deal with the disorder and the chronic dieting that they have in the past, to kind of unlock all of that diet culture behavior that they have gotten into so that they can learn to love their body and find food and body freedom. So that's really my sweet spot, as well as, and that's where my book is targeted. And that's where kind of with using that experience, but then also we provide educational services, public speaking, that kind of stuff as well.
That kind of stuff. So with making that change from focusing on, I need to lose 10 pounds, so I need to do push-ups and I need to go running and I need to eat all the green stuff, and then I can't eat anything good in my life just because. So with you making your clients make that change to look at it in a whole different way, do you see result when they've been trying for years and haven't been able to accomplish anything?
Well, what do you mean by results? If the
Result
results
meaning like them being happy, feeling
yes,
comfortable on their own
yes,
skin, not being frustrated all the time for something they shouldn't be.
because what I say to my clients up front is, I'm not going to ask you to step on the scale ever, because it doesn't matter what the number on that scale says. We're going to look at lifestyle well-being. We are going to look at some other dimensions of physical health to be sure that you're physically healthy. But we're also going to look at accepting of the body that you've been given, the body size, the body shape, and what that means and what that health means. And the success rate is very good because people take one of the packages that I prefer is to work with somebody for 4 to 6 months, because that's how long it's going to take to understand that you were teased as a child because you developed early and you had breasts and a teenager body as a 5th grader. And other girls in your class didn't have that same body type, and you were teased and made fun of. I was on the other side of it. I had a more of a boyish shape. I didn't develop until I was in 7th and 8th grade. I was teased and in a different way. But those things stick. And it's based on body development that we don't have any control over. But they're things that we have carried with us. And we got to understand that. We got to understand how we feel about our body. We got to understand how does that translate to the behaviors of food. And a lot of times it's that diet mentality. I cheated today. And when I cheated today, well, I just gave up and I just went back to my old habits. Well, we got to walk away from the idea of cheating. We got to walk away from the idea that if I've had this, I'm bad. There's shame attached to that. We're attaching shame to, I had this food, I shouldn't have had it, I feel shame. So I help people walk out of that. I help people walk away from that. If you want to eat the Cadbury egg, eat the Cadbury egg and enjoy it, right? Enjoy it. Take it slow, bite by bite. What does it taste like? What does it feel like in your mouth? That's where mindfulness comes in. We eat so fast as a society that we don't take any time to really notice the food. How does it feel? How does it smell? Can you even remember? If I ask you, what did you have for dinner last night and what did it taste like and what did it smell like? Can you recall the taste and the smell?
Yes, I love food.
Okay, good. That's good. That's good. And what was the favorite thing that you ate last night?
Well, I would say that I actually love that almond. It's like an almond things. At nighttime, I
Okay.
love to snack on it.
Okay.
So that was my favorite thing. And then usually after I eat that, I drink like a bottle of water because I like to be staying,
Mm-hmm.
have when I go to sleep, even if I have to go pee 2, 3 times a night, I'm okay with it. But I love to have water in my body for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. So I will just relax with my son. We're watching something together before bedtime, and we snack on it, and then
Uh-huh.
I'm okay with it,
Right.
and I love it. Some people
Yep.
tell me you shouldn't be eating that, but oh well,
So
what's
how
gonna
did it
happen?
taste? Describe how it tasted to you.
for me, I feel like I was eating something very nutrition, very healthy, but at the same time something that I enjoy. And the taste of it, it's like I was eating something from. For me, food, I guess it's hard for me to explain because food for me, when I eat it, it's like, it's different how people see it. It's like, wow, that was created here on earth. It's like, this is coming from a tree and I can eat it and I can taste it. It's even in my backyard, I have lime. I will take the lime, I will cut it and I will just suck on it. It's like, oh my goodness, this is like not creating from somewhere else. It's
Right.
nature, Mother Nature created
Right.
it. And then you can just grab it and eat it. And it's
So
healthy.
how would you describe a lime?
I would say a lime when I'm drinking and eating it like that, it's sour, but at the same time, it's a feeling of excitement for me.
Okay. And that's the kind of stuff we want to talk about. We want to start to say, what about this food makes me happy? What about this food brings enjoyment? What about this food do I know, when I eat a lemon or a lime like you're describing, it gets me right back here, and that feeling makes my mouth water. You start to look at, that's mindfulness, right? That's being mindfully aware. But then mindfully being aware of, how do you feel after you've eaten it? Sometimes we eat foods that we like, but then our stomach is upset a half hour or an hour later, and we're not connecting that food maybe isn't agreeing with us. I discovered I was a milk drinker, lifelong milk drinker, milk 2 or 3 times a day. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I started noticing that I was like, I would have dinner. I would have my normal glass of milk with dinner. And then an hour or so later, I was so gassy, and I was like, where is this coming from? Like I didn't have cruciferous vegetables and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I finally discovered that as I entered menopause, my body changed in its ability to deal with milk. And so after 50 years of having milk several times a day, I had to switch to coconut milk because it didn't agree with me anymore. And that was a change that came with menopause that I really had never, ever heard anybody say, hey, this happened to me. And so, well, it happened to me. And your body can be changing as you're aging in the things that agree with you. And we need to become aware of those things.
Yes, and then one thing that happened to me is when I give birth, a lot of food that I love eating, and even through my pregnancy, I still love eating them. And after I gave birth, and I remember coming home, my mom would cook it for me, and I threw up. I couldn't eat it anymore. And I remember asking my doctor, but that's my favorite meal. My doctor said, I'm sorry, but your body is not agreeing with it anymore. You can eat it. And even after 3 years later, I try, it's still the same problem. I vomit. My body just, nope, thank you, I don't want this. And the funny things, that's my son's best food.
Well, and it's again that having that conversation that our bodies do change, and we have to be aware of how do we feel before, during, and after eating foods. And feeling has to do with our thoughts and our emotions as much as it has to do with our physical feeling. And so it's bringing all of those things together. It's more complex than people want to recognize that it is, right? There's more,
exactly.
There's more things to it. And when you're okay with it, when you're okay with eating food, when you're okay with your body type and your body size, when you have that self-confidence, when you can take the stage, when you can do the video, conferencing, and you have all the confidence in the world, I'm not for you. But when you struggle in those areas to love your body, to accept your body, to fuel your body, to be healthy at your size, if that's areas that you struggle with, it's time to start to do it a different way, right? And another diet isn't going to do that. It's understanding lifestyle well-being, how it affects your behaviors, and ending those diet culture behaviors so that you can walk into food and body freedom for health, wholeness, and happiness.
And enjoy the food you are eating.
Exactly.
Have a beautiful moment with your food. It's kind of funny you said that to me because my youngest sister said that to me the other day. I love having moments with my food. What do you want me to tell you?
And that's good. And that's healthy, right? I mean, but when it's not healthy, when it's chronic dieting, when it's disorder, when it brings shame, when it brings guilt, then you need to do some work.
Yes, absolutely. So your mission is to ignite the change within.
Mm-hmm.
So how exactly do you do that with your clients?
Well, the beauty is that it's different for everybody, right? Because their starting point is different, and it's different as you age. It's different, igniting the change within. The biggest thing is it's got to be internal. We got to find that internal thing that resonates for you for change. And maybe it's to be a more confident speaker. Maybe it's to be more confident in front of other people selling your business and ideas. Maybe it's to be healthy because you have a new grandchild on the way and you really want to be able to be active. And people think that being active, well, if I just lose 20 pounds and okay, that might be true. But let's look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. And we can maybe get you to that weight change if the habits that you're doing are preventing you from being healthy and whole. And so that igniting of that internal change and igniting that what and why for you. When I ended up with disordered eating, it was because an external person, a coach, told me that I needed to lose 6 pounds. Maybe for somebody else, it's a doctor or it's a spouse or it's a significant other that says, you ought to lose weight. You ought to lose weight. Well, that's extrinsic. And pretty much you're setting yourself up for failure, not success, when you're trying to achieve a goal with an extrinsic motivator versus an intrinsic motivator. So we need to find what your intrinsic why is. And that's part of my secret sauce process. And then, once we've figured that out, then we need to be able to then address what are those steps. And that's why we start with food. In my book, The Mindful Me Journey, I use it in 4 different phases to help people discover what they're doing with food and why, and how their thoughts, feelings, habits, and behaviors and emotions are all connected. Because once we uncover that, then we uncover a whole lot about your lifestyle well-being.
But you're also a best-selling author, right?
Number 1 new release back in 2019. Yep.
Do you have any more books coming out soon?
I have been toying around with working on one talking about developing a culture of wellness and trying to look at that with developing how people can understand that the walking away from diet culture and developing a culture of wellness can change everything about their life, their health, and their happiness. But I haven't started that one yet.
Work in progress.
That's right.
So what is the best way for someone to get help from you?
My website, litwellnesssolutions.com, is the easiest way, or Tanya at litwellnesssolutions.com is my email, and that's TANYA at litwellnesssolutions. And there's 3 S's in there in wellness solutions with an S on the end. So yeah.
But do you think that people are more into fast diets these days, even with what happened with COVID-19 and in wellness? With COVID, I felt like wellness people become a lot more aware of wellness, and then they try to get more into like, okay, I need to take care of myself. But do you feel like people still in that fast diet thing, or do you feel like it's slowing down to understand that fast diet is not going to get me there actually?
One of the things I was actually disappointed with COVID was that people were not, the research was out pretty early in 2020, I'd say by the summer, that people who had low vitamin D levels were having more severe COVID outbreaks. And they were the ones that were ending up on ventilators. And that was not being talked about. I put out a blog article, and I actually tried to do a little bit of speaking about it, but that wasn't even until 2021. But the vitamin D research was pretty significant that if people had a vitamin D level above 50, they were less likely to end up on a ventilator.
Really?
And if they had a vitamin D above 70, they were pretty much never hospitalized. And that was worldwide. Some of that first research was coming out of Israel. It was coming out of Italy. That research was, I felt like people were not being as aware and of the benefits and the importance of vitamin D in having their vitamin D level checked, and that many doctors weren't asking and routinely having those vitamin D levels checked to help their people become have a level above 50. I actually went to the IFA conference when I was receiving the award for the company for a top 50s healthcare company. And I actually was talking with several of the doctors there, and that was in 2021. And I was talking about vitamin D and the research on vitamin D with COVID. And they were like, well, we really haven't seen that. We really haven't seen that. And I said, well, you really need to look it up because it's out. It's pretty, it's by this point, it's out there pretty widespread. So yes, I feel like we have been very, very focused on diets and quick fixes and losing 10 pounds. And the number of people that will lose 10 pounds and gain 12 and then lose 10 and then gain 15 and then lose 12 and then, well, you're actually doing more harm to your organs and to your body in that yo-yo dieting approach than if you would just lose 5 pounds and maintain that. If you would lose 5 pounds and maintain that. And we don't really ever talk about weight maintenance as a success, but weight maintenance is a success. If you have gone 10 years and you are the same weight, that is wonderful because your body gains weight 2 to 5 pounds each decade. So if your body normally gains 2 to 5 pounds in each decade and you're maintaining, that's success. So we are very much a diet culture. We are very much focused on the quick fix. Those were the diets that were selling. Those were the products and the programs that were selling during COVID when people were at home. They were, okay, this is a good time for me to, of course, a lot of them were baking bread and they were gaining a bunch of weight. But yeah, so I would say that that's one of the biggest things is vitamin D, vitamin C, quercetin, and zinc. Those 4 things, if you take them as soon as you feel anything coming on, cold, flu, COVID, doesn't matter. You take those 4 things when you feel them coming on and you take them for 3 days. Zinc keeps the cells, the cell from replicating, and quercetin helps make sure it gets into the cells. So you put those things all together and you have success. And that documentation has been out there since 2021 as well. So I feel like if we would spend less time worrying about the number on the scale and more time worrying about our health and well-being, we would all do much better.
We will know when these things are out, because we're not paying attention. We're worried so much about things that's not really that important, really. And we don't realize that. And I think that we could have saved a lot of life. And that's how I feel with COVID. And then we didn't because we didn't take it seriously. We were focusing on, actually, I felt like we were fighting with one another. And in a bad time of life, where we're supposed to be helping one another, we were like in war with each other. We look for everything to create war instead of, I was very disappointed in my own country, and I was disappointed on my own people for doing that as well. And I think that our health was more important. We could have saved our seniors. We could have done a lot more.
Well, early treatment was key. And that was not the conversation that was being had. We were not having the conversation about early treatment. What we were being told was wait until you're really sick and you can't breathe and then go to the emergency room.
Yes.
And by that point, it was too late for many
Absolutely.
people.
Yes. Yeah. Especially people that's already sick, that already have some sort of condition, like you said, that need help really to save their life before it get worse. And it was a very disappointing moment for me. And for me, it was time for us to just give a hand, not time to come up with everything else on earth and forget that we need each other. And I wish that people like you will have the most support that you needed to help us get where we want it to be. And I know one person can do a lot. We need, it's a small amount that you can do as one person. And we need the support of others to come together to create that bigger picture. And telling the truth, you wouldn't get that help because we're focusing on things that wasn't even matter at the moment. And
Yeah. Well, and
It's sad.
I was going to say too, the message of diet culture not being what we should all be doing, and the message of creating a wellness culture and looking beyond, stop trying to lose 10 pounds. Let's focus on the things that are really, truly important. And that's what I go back to with whether it's my business, whether it's your business, whether it's anybody's business. When we're spending all of our time worrying about if I just lose 10 pounds, then I'll be happy and successful. Well, the reality is you're not going to be any more happy and any more successful 10 pounds from now, because the issues that you're dealing with have nothing to do with the number on the scale. The things that are holding you back have nothing to do with the number on the scale. It might have to do with confidence. It might have to do with self-confidence. It might have to do, with body acceptance. It's all related. I'm not saying it's not related, but the number on the scale is not going to fix what's wrong. And you got to do the work. You got to do the work. People want the quick fix. They don't want to do the work. But the freedom comes when you break the chains of bondage that you're in. And
Yes.
breaking those chains of bondage, you got to break them one chain link at a time. You cannot
Yes.
just break out of where you are in dissatisfaction or dis-ease. You got to break each chain one at a time to get to that freedom. And the lie is that the weight is going to solve it. The truth, and live in truth, is that I have to do the work. I have to look at my whole life. I have to look at my thoughts, feelings, emotions, behaviors, and I got to figure out what I'm doing well and what I need to make some changes in with a long-term view. That's what a culture of wellness does for you. It helps you
Sorry.
look at your whole life, and it helps you look and say, here's what I'm doing well. Here's what I'm not doing so well. And here's a plan of attack that I can begin to make the changes that I need to make to be happy, healthy, and whole.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the gym is good. It's okay for you to
Sure.
have the gym, but it's I think what I'm hearing from you is that you need to figure out the source of the problem, try to fix that problem, have an action plan to fix that problem,
Right.
follow it and make it happen with the things that if you like going to the gym, it's okay. You can still go to your gym, but
Sure.
probably going, because I've seen people myself that go to the gym every single day. I never seen them lose any pound. I don't know why. So I seen it.
Well, body stress. They actually are putting their body in a whole bunch of stress depending on the type of workout and the amount of workout. I'll give you an example. Walking is a really, really good, healthy thing, but there's different ways to go about it. You can walk 3 times a day for 10 minutes and get the same health benefit as if you walked 30 minutes all at one time.
Huh.
So people who say, well, I don't have time to exercise. Okay. You could probably take a break from your desk, get up, go for a walk for 10 minutes, come back and be way more productive after you've done that because of the oxygen that you've gotten to your brain and just a variety of things. So it's just those kinds of conversations. It's beginning to look at that health and fitness information differently and that diet and exercise stuff differently. Going to the gym isn't bad. It can be a great stress reliever. I mean, there's a lot of benefits, but we got to look at what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and how is it meeting those goals and that plan that you have. And it's a plan. We can't attack all the areas of our lifestyle well-being, our finances, our vocation, our relationships, our mental health. We can't attack all of them at one time. We've got to take them one step at a time, one step at a time. And that's where that plan and that life plan comes in. A very small
And
percentage of people have a life plan that they actually follow. And they could find way more success if they look at their whole life, establish a process and a plan, be strategic about it. They'd be a lot happier and
follow
healthier.
it.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly. And if anything, reach out to someone like you that's actually can understand them, what they're looking for, and be able to guide them in the right direction. Instead of going to the gym doing 50 push-up a day, that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right. Right.
So with everything you have accomplished in the past few years, and what's next for you? I know that you'll be working on a book. What else that you have in place for the business?
Well, I'm really working on getting out and speaking with more groups, especially teens who have body image issues in this Instagram world, trying to help teens understand that body acceptance and the importance of not falling prey to diet culture. And the same with women in their, for me, I was at my worst body image wise and diet wise after I had my first child, because your body changes and your body isn't the same anymore. And it's hard to have that body acceptance. So women, and then you go again, older women, as their body hits menopause and they start to change, their body changes, and it's that whole body acceptance thing again. So trying to really get out and speak with groups, MOPS groups, mothers of preschoolers groups, and some youth teen groups. So would love the opportunity for some doors to open there to talk with some different groups about how they don't fall prey to the diet culture and the body image issues and dissatisfaction. So beginning to knock on those doors and beginning to travel those roads and take that message out to the masses.
Yes. And then I think teens, working with teens is one of the best, because if you want to catch them, you might as well catch them early before they end up become that teen. I remember as a cheerleader, you have to, you eat the food and you throw it out because you need to keep that body, the way it needs to look. So you might want to catch them early before they end up with that, thinking that I can't eat I'm not gonna eat this, I'm not gonna eat that, I need to keep this. So I think the plan that you have is the best one ever. Let's fix the next generation now.
That's right. And one of the ways I'm trying to go about that is I've started a new program and a new approach with athletes, high school athletes and college athletes, because that's where my battles began. And so I do some athletic coaching as well to try to do nutrition plans that are fuel-based and hydration-based. So trying to help athletes to use their body and nourish their body to be its best as well. And just spoke with a volleyball team a week or so ago, and speaking with a youth group in another few months. So just trying to really, help them, but also moms as well. It's amazing, women, the things that they talk about and that they show to their children that they don't even recognize. When you're talking about diets, when you're talking, you got a scale sitting out in your bathroom and you're talking about the diet you're going on, or you're talking about the number on the scale, or I've just got to lose weight, or I don't look good in these clothes. Your kids are listening to all of those comments. And then they start to pick up those comments of, well, maybe I don't look good in my clothes. And well, maybe my weight, or I went to the doctor and my weight went up, so maybe my weight shouldn't have gone up. And they start to internalize a lot of that based on what they have seen. And, that was one of the things I was very grateful for. My mother was not like that at all. The Instagram of my day was Cosmopolitan magazine. And that was that's what all the women were reading at the pool and things.
Yes.
And my mother never brought in those things. She did not talk about her weight. She was never dieting. She was always very positive about me and my weight. I went to the doctor once a year for my health physical for athletics, and my weight was good, and that was all it was ever talked about. So when I got to college and I had to weigh in every week, that's why it was such a big deal to me, because I didn't grow up in that kind of culture. I didn't have anybody telling me, oh, your BMI is, overweight or whatever. And again, people need to stop using BMI. Our medical community has not done anyone a service of focusing on BMI, because BMI doesn't tell you anything about the composition of the body and the weight. A bodybuilder will always show up as overweight or obese because muscle weighs more than fat. So it doesn't tell anything about body composition. So we need to be changing the whole conversation, the conversations that we're having with our doctors, the conversations that we're allowing doctors to have with us. And we need to be our own advocates to really be focused on the things that are most important. And it isn't the number.
We need to change our mindset. We need to change the mindset and stop being, I think that one of the issue even with teens they are facing is they seeing those role models, saying that those models, celebrities and this and influencers, oh, I need to do this, I need to go do that, I need to be like this, I need to dress like this, I need to eat like this. And they following all these things, and then they creating a habit that's actually not good for them as they get older.
And one of those things, again, that message to teens that I really like them to understand is that, all of those people that they're following, they're a brand. And part of their brand is that they have a personal chef and they have a personal trainer. And because their brand is based on their looks, it's based on the superficial. It's not based on the kind of person they are. It's not based on on their morals and their values. It's based on how they look and how PR companies can sell that and market that. And that's not real life. You're not a brand. You are a human being with thoughts, feelings, goals, and a service and a product to serve the world. You're here for a purpose. You're here to make a difference in some way. And I'm not saying the celebrities don't make a difference. A lot of them do, but they're marketing their brand,
Right.
and they have all the tools and things to do that we don't have. Our parents are struggling to
Exactly.
put food on the table and clothes on our backs. They're not worrying about a personal chef and the latest sneakers that cost $250.
So I guess I think what you are trying to tell them is that don't follow that. Look at it as a marketing ways, and then keep
Right.
moving forward with your own dreams, your own goals, and then be
That's
the
right.
best that you can be, because you are who you are, and you're supposed to do something. Find that something and
Right.
move forward for it.
Find out
Yeah.
what your gifts and your talents are, your body shape and size, how it can best service that. We're not all meant to be marathon runners. That's not to say you can't run a marathon, but you're probably not going to be first place, because there's certain body types that are going to be first place. And we can't all do, I was a high jumper, and I went to the state track meet in Ohio all 4 years of high school. But I didn't have the body type of being the most successful. I just worked really hard to maximize my skill based on the body type that I had, to maximize my skill and my success. And anybody can do that. You might, I there's 4 children in my family. 2 of my brothers take after my mother's side of the family with an ectomorphic body type. My older brother and I take after my dad's side of the family, and we have more of an endomorphic body type. We don't get to pick that. We don't get to change that. All we can do is do what we can do to maximize that and be the healthiest and fit, and use it to our advantage, and learning how to use it to our advantage. And so that's the work I'm trying to do with athletes, to help them, be the healthiest and best they can be in the body type that they have, instead of striving to be somebody else's body type and, and their success.
And I think you are doing a fabulous work. And it's just every time I interview women, I get very fascinating of the work that we are doing. And I'm just grateful to know that I'm not alone. And
No.
there's women out there that's doing great work. And we just need to keep coming together and bring the message out. Let's see how we can keep helping other women, that we need to fix the issues we have now so that they don't pass on to our next generation. And I think that's the best way to go out about with it. So what is your advice to women out there that's just starting out, that's looking for ways to create a better life, not just for them, but also for the people around them?
Well, number one, comparison will kill you. So stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop comparing your business, your house, your lifestyle, your car. Stop comparing yourself, because you don't walk in their shoes. So really just don't compare. Stop the comparison game. Look at yourself. Look at what am I doing well, and acknowledge what am I doing well, because there's something that you're doing well. So start there. Start with what am I doing well? And then what do I need to keep doing to do that, continue to do that well? And once you've identified those things, you got those shored up. Now go to the next level and say, okay, what's not working so well? And what change could I make so that it would work a little bit better? And if you don't know, then go get a coach or a mentor or somebody that can give you that outside look from the outside in, that can say, okay, I see what you're saying, that this isn't working so well. let me ask you some questions and let's dig in a little bit deeper. Why? Why isn't it working so well? And then set about. So again, we're going to keep doing the things well that we're doing. And then we're going to begin to start making small little changes in those areas that we've identified. And then as we do that, we're growing our success, right? We're growing those areas. If we were successful in 3 dimensions of wellness and now we're working on a 4th, then in a few months we've mastered that. So now we've got 4 dimensions of wellness that are really rocking it. Now we're going to attach that 5th dimension of wellness. And I look at 10. So that gives me, 10. So if I'm at 50%, I'm feeling good, but I want to be at 80, 90%, right? So I then continue to build and grow and work on those little areas and set goals. And you know what? The health and the happiness and the freedom that comes with success. We set ourselves up for failure far more than we set ourselves up for success. And so we need to set ourselves up for success. What's that one little thing I can do? Set myself up for success. What guardrails do I need to put in place that allow me to be successful, that kind of put up that barrier so that I don't go off the cliff? I stay on the road, I keep moving forward, and I reach that success that I want. And then what's the next thing that I can improve and tweak and make better so that I'm living a healthy and whole life that's successful? And when my life's successful, the people that I'm raising, then I can make their life successful. The business that I'm running, I can make it successful. The relationships that I'm reaching and then that I'm imparting on, I can make them successful through support and encouragement. And we can start to be the women of collaboration that we really were created to be. Women are meant to be collaborative. We're not meant to be competitive. And we've taken the men's world on as that competitive, and I've got to compete with you. No, let's collaborate. Let's collaborate. And my best and your best, we can change the world with each of us bringing to the table what we were brought and made and put on this earth to do. And so that collaboration effect, but I can only collaborate with other people when I feel self-confident, when I feel that what I have is worthy of being offered. And so it goes back to that self-confidence, and it goes back to that self-worth that we have and our view of ourselves and our identity. And when we can unwrap all of that and we can look at ourselves in a whole new way, we want to share what we have with the world, and we're effective at doing it.
You know what? I don't think I want to add anything to it at all, because it's just, you perfectly just said yourself. Perfectly. It's not coming from me. It's coming from another woman this time, not from me. So you heard her. We need to do this. So thank you so much, Tanya, for giving me that opportunity to have this conversation with you. And your knowledge is, wow. That's all I have to say. I can't put a price into it, because I know that you put a lot of time and energy and money into it as well to gain all that knowledge over the years. But you willing to pass it on to others, it's mean a lot. And like you said, that's what we were put here to do as women.
I want to help change women one woman at a time, or change the world one woman at a time.
What a great conversation with Tanya. A healthy lifestyle and a proper diet are important to stay active and prevent unnecessary sickness. Do not take your health for granted. Reach out for help when you need it, because you want to be healthy. You want to run a business and being healthy. And either you are a professional or you are an employee, employers, whatever you are doing in your life, being healthy is important. And being healthy have a way different way of look at it when you talk to someone like Tanya. Thank you, Tanya, for taking the time to have this conversation with me. Let me know your thoughts about this episode with Tanya. And to learn more about Tanya and LIT Wellness Solutions, visit www.litwellnesssolutions.com. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.